Thank you, Mr. Speakers. Two misconceptions brought by the opposition team. Firstly, they basically assume that it is a form of chance of over-exploitations by the researchers and scientists to make the prisoner choose whether or not they want to be a volunteer of the drug trials or not. Secondly, they're explaining that this will be the purpose of essence of punishment. They say that the punishment would be, there will be three things of the essence of punishments, about the deterrence effect, administrations, and rehabilitation purposes. But we believe that this does not be the purpose of punishment at all. I'm going to explain to you in my arguments. But before going to my arguments, I'd like to give some points of rebuttals to the opposition team. Firstly, I'm going to respond to the rebuttals that has been given by the leader of opposition. There are 3 points of the rebuttals that brought by the opposition. Firstly, they said that it will endanger lives of the prisoners and it will defeat the purpose of punishment. Well, we think that it's not as simple as that. We do not endanger their lives. Since we have already tested it on animals, we need people to test as a volunteer. Now we're opening chances for the government, we're opening chances for the prisoners to take chance and take this opportunity to become the volunteer of the medical advancements of science. Secondly, they said that our mechanisms are not clear. My Prime Minister have already explained to you the mechanisms of how we're going to apply this situation, how we're going to apply this system. Firstly, we say that we ask for volunteers from prisoners whether or not they want to join this, to become a volunteer for a drugs trial. Secondly, we will impose transparency. We're going to explain all the side effects that have already known by the researchers. We're going to explain to them the risks and the unknown risks that the researchers have found. We just need someone to become a drug tester, and we're going to open this opportunity for the prisoners. Thirdly, all prisoners might be volunteer, excluding the death penalty sentence prisoners. Why we think so? Because forgiving the prisoners who are being sentenced to death penalty would be problematic and dilemmatic, since forgiving what they have done would be confusing for the citizens and society. Secondly, we would be confused as well to give what kind of lighter sentences that we can give to death penalty sentence prisoners, because how can we forgive them? I mean, like, the way we give a lighter sentence, do we not give death penalty? Do we cancel their death penalty, or do we just postpone their execution date? Both of the proposal would have problematic and systematic damage to the death sentence prisoners, and we believe that this is inhuman. Fourth mechanism is that we're going to give the explanations, we're going to give the discretions of giving the form of lighter sentence to the courts and the experts of the science. We believe that the stronger or the harsher the drugs, the more we should reduce their punishment. And all of these calculations would rely on the scientists, would rely on the courts, whether this amount of side effect, how much this amount of side effect would reduce the punishment of the prisoners who would become the volunteers. We don't want to be the expert on their expertise field. Those about the mechanisms. Thirdly, they said that what kind of criminals we're talking about. Do we forgive genocide perpetrators? The answer is no if the punishments for the genocide perpetrators death penalty. However, if the genocide perpetrators are actually the ones sentenced to like lifetime sentences, we would consider for them to be a volunteer in exchange for lighter sentences. Now, rebuttals to the arguments, those are 3 points of my response to the rebuttals of the opposition. Now going to my rebuttals to the arguments, I only want to give 1 point of rebuttals. Firstly, they said that the types of drug trials would make a problematic situations in this proposal. We believe not so. Why? Because the type of drug trials, either it is injecting, eye drop, or applying to skin, would have no importance anyway whatsoever to the implementations of this system. Why? Because we uphold the transparency of the side effect. We know that they all have already known what they're going to deal. And we think that the right of possessions of body, whether the prisoners want to exchange their body with the lighter sentences, is up to their right, and we should give them the right to this matter. We believe that the opposition team should not limit this right, and therefore the idea should fall. Now going to my 2 points of arguments. Yes, please.
Well, using this kind of proposal, the prisoner will use this drug trials as an excuse to get away from the law system as a punishment.
Now I'm going to explain to you why this is not going to be an escape on our judicial system. Now, ladies and gentlemen, 2 points of arguments. Firstly, prisoners are not discriminated by the situations of being a prisoner to become drug testers. Secondly, giving a lighter sentence for being a volunteer of a drug trial would not diminish the value of sentence. Rather, it is a form of substitute. Going to my first argument. In their POI, they explain that there would be a chance of overexploitation by the researchers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to answer this in my argument. We think that the form of discrimination, they're trying to assume that there will be a discrimination. The prisoners will be forced to do this drug trial in exchange for lighter sentences. We think no, because discriminations or any overexploitations will happen only by forcing or giving no choice. The main point in this idea is actually we're going to give them choices. This is the main stake. This is the main value that we're going to play here. Now, if they explain that this will be overexploitation, then there will be no difference with paid volunteers who are free and not imprisoned by the companies. There are going to be these free volunteers will be paid by the companies, and if we're going to accept your notion that prisoners will be overexploited, they also these free volunteers will also prone to overexploitation. Now, the opposition needs to prove why it will be overexploitation only applied to prisoners, not to these paid volunteers who are not in prison. No, thank you. The POI time is already up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we think that because there is no differentiation between these free citizens and prisoners, because we are giving both of them choice, the free citizens get money, the prisoners will get lighter sentences. We think that this is okay. Secondly, my second point of rebuttal will be 2 layers. Firstly, possible risks of unknown and unpredictable side effect would be a form of punishment. Secondly, we think that remission due to behave well equals to a lighter sentence for being volunteer for a drugs trial. We think that giving a lighter sentences would not diminish the value of punishment, and therefore, because of the risks entail in the drug testing and also the remission is equal to behaving well in our judicial system, we think that it does not diminish the value of punishment, and therefore we beg to propose. Thank you.